In this video, I want to share with you top 3 resources as a freelance web designer and Webflow developer. So let's jump straight into it. These are in no particular order. Let's start off with Storyset. So if you go to storyset.com, you can see that we have beautiful illustrations. I've talked about this a lot. In case you don't know what to put on your website, usually a website is made up of 2 things that makes it distinct. One is the visuals and one is the font. So visuals do play an important part, as you guys know. So this website, Storyset, really allows you to see these really nice illustrations. So sometimes you might have seen on websites, they have like nice illustration. In this specific website, it gives you this type of illustration. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe isometric. I don't think that's the correct term. But it gives you this, as you can see. I'm sure you guys have seen this before. And you can also search it up. So for example, you might have a business in construction. So you can go ahead and just type in construction, hit enter. It automatically put construction worker. That's interesting. And you can see you have a bunch of icons. And if you actually click into one of them, let's just say, for example, this one here, what you can also do is you can tweak it. So you can actually make it detailed, which is what you see now. You can make it simplified. As you can see, the background got removed, and you can also put it hidden, so it's just what you want. And you can also change the layers to hide certain elements, and you can also change the color. So if your branding is, let's just say, pink, you can actually click onto pink, or you can actually paste in your hexacode, and you can also see different variations. So right now in this website, they like to call it like different names like Rafiki, Bro, Amico, Pana, and I can't even pronounce that word, but you can see there's different variations of that specific illustration. And there's a lot of variety, and it's all for free. So you can also download it as SVG or PNG. So the difference is PNG is a fixed resolution, but you'll be downloading in a very, very, like big resolution, or an SVG, which is essentially something that can be scaled up and down without losing quality. So I recommend using SVG, but you can go ahead and just place this into Webflow. And let's take a look at an example of a website that is using Storyset. In this example website, blazetransit.com, we can see that this image is actually pulled in from Storyset. You wouldn't know, but I'm telling you. And right now it's branded to the Blaze colors, which is, I think it's a green, light green. And that is being used. And if you notice, and you scroll down, you can see this is also Storyset right here. This is Storyset right here. This is Storyset right here. So again, Storyset is just one of many resources, but you can see a good example of using these illustrations to really add life towards your website. So let's move on to the next tool, and this is something called Wappalyzer. And if you guys are using Google Chrome, which I'm assuming you are because it's the most popular web browser to date, you can actually install a plugin. And what Wappalyzer allows you to do is detect the technology of what the website is built in. So right now I actually have it installed, and you can see right now I have a bunch of extensions. One of them is Wappalyzer right here. If you click into it, it tells you how this website is built and what it is currently running. So right now this website's running Stripe. It is also has Google Analytics inside the code, because all the websites really just the code. So this is just analyzing the code and just telling you what it has. It has a live chat plugin, as you can see right here, which is Crisp Live Chat. So you can even actually click into the technology, and it'll actually tell you more about that specific technology. You can even visit their website. So whenever you want to understand, how the website's built or what technologies with an ES they're using, you can use Wappalyzer. But again, this is just a guide. In most websites, you'll be able to detect the technologies, but for the bigger, larger corporations, there's some security things where they prevent you from seeing it. But in general, you should be able to see everything. Let's take a look at some examples. In this example website, ccf.org.ph, this website, as a seasoned web developer and someone who's used WordPress in the past, it's very obvious when you can see what type of website the technology is using. So I already know this is a WordPress website based on the design and based on the layout, etc. But let's confirm that with Wappalyzer. So clicking onto this extension, going to Wappalyzer, I can indeed see this is a CMS using WordPress, and it's using a page builder called WP Bakery. So anyone that knows WordPress, WordPress sometimes requires plugin in order to edit your websites. The most popular ones to my knowledge is WP Bakery and Elementor. And it's running Slider Revolution, it's running WooCommerce. So all this stuff is plugins. Like Slider Revolution, I know, is a plugin for WordPress. and WooCommerce is the main e-commerce for WordPress. So this really tells you everything. It's running Swiper.js, which I mentioned previously, in examples. It has Google Analytics and Facebook Pexels. It's doing reCAPTCHA, so reCAPTCHA is the Google, to prevent spam, etc. It has Google Tag Manager, and it even has Google Map Embed, and it also has MySQL, which is a database. You don't have to understand this, but and there's also Yoast SEO, which is a plugin for WordPress to enhance SEO, specifically meta description, etc. So the point is, we can see what this is. This is a WordPress site, ccf.org.ph. Let's go ahead and take a look at another website. This is pancakesonTheRocks.com.au. So anyone in Australia, specifically Sydney, should have seen this brand. At the time of filming it, this is like a restaurant that is open 24/7 in certain locations. And I can already tell, based on my experience, it's not always the case. WordPress really all looks the same in a sense where it's like almost like a grid layout, and it's most likely using a template. Not all the time, but based on my experience. And let's go take a look at this using this extension. Let's confirm if it's WordPress. Obviously, I've already done research and I know it's WordPress. But Wappalyzer, you can see if I just reload the page and I go back to Wappalyzer, this is indeed running WordPress with the plugins, Yoast SEO, etc., PHP, Google AdSense. Another way you can tell if it's WordPress, this is not all the time, so don't quote me on this, is you can actually type in at the end of the URL /wp-admin, hit enter. Whoops, I tapped that in wrong. So wp-admin, and you can see this takes you to the WordPress login page. Again, you won't see this, for example, if I go to the ccf.org.ph, the one that I just showed you, and I also tap that in, that won't work. So it's not all the time, but it's very obvious this is WordPress. And without getting into much detail, people can hack this, etc. Without getting into much detail. But that's that. Let's take a look at other websites. This is lauracurie.co.nz. Apologies pronouncing her name wrong. But you can see right now, this is a very simple layout, very beautiful layout if you think about it. Can you guys take a guess what this is? I believe it's Squarespace, because even Squarespace, they're all templated. I'm just speaking in general, in Squarespace, in WordPress, you can hire a custom developer to make it, deviate from templates. But based on my experience, usually WordPress, even Webflow and Squarespace and Wix, they're all usually template and they all look the same, which I'll explain in the future videos. But essentially, templates are kind of good because I think one thing that people don't understand is mobile responsiveness. Like they just look at a website like, this looks beautiful. But what Squarespace actually does is it automatically makes everything mobile responsive, and you don't really have much flexibility unless you're a coder. So let's take a look at this Wappalyzer. And indeed, sometimes you might have to reload the page. So let's go ahead and reload it. Let's go back here, Wappalyzer, and you can see it is indeed Squarespace. Ooh, how did I know? Because of Wappalyzer. But also I've seen this template before. Very simple design, etc. We're not going to get into detail of the benefits of Squarespace or WordPress, etc. Then finally, let's take a look at this website, dereksu.com.au. I'm not quite sure what this website built in. It does say Webflow in the hero title, but I'm assuming it's in Webflow, but I'm not quite sure. How can I tell? Wappalyzer. So let's go ahead and take a look at Wappalyzer. And indeed, you can see right here, this person right here, dereksu.com.au, I don't know who he is, but he's using Webflow. How do we know this? It's in Wappalyzer, and I'm very sure it's in the code. That's how this detects it. Just keep in mind, code is code, so there's ways that people can, hide this technology, but in general, this is pretty accurate. And what is this website also running? Hotjar to check out the data, and Google Analytics. It also has Lottie files and is running Particle.js, which, if I remember correctly from this website, again, this is like my first time looking at this. You can see at the very bottom, it has this particle effect, which is actually Particle.js. So that's why it's actually appearing here. And that is how you can tell. And of course, there's different websites. There's also certain websites that's actually, you can export the code and host it into an external server, and it's not per se, hosted on WordPress or Webflow or Wix or Squarespace. It's just hosted on the server, and you can tell that as well through time. So Wappalyzer is super good. Recommend to use it. Sometimes maybe if you're starting out as a freelancer and you're not quite sure what the client has, you can do research on the existing website. And then if let's just say, for example, it's WordPress, you might be just an example. You might be hesitant to, you know, provide your services to someone who has WordPress because they might already have like an affinity to WordPress, so it's very hard to convince them to switch to Webflow. That's just an example. Or it could also be the opposite, where they have WordPress, but they have so many issues with WordPress, and then you can convince them in Webflow. So great technology, I recommend it. Let's move on to the last one, Pexels.com. I'll probably mention this in the future video, but another website to view like stock photos and stock videos, specifically videos. With photos, there's websites like Unsplash, but Pexel, the difference in my opinion is they provide not just images, which is beautiful, but also videos. So oftentimes I say, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words, but how much does a video speak? You know, if a picture is 1,000 words, a video we know is just a bunch of pictures played in frames. Let's just say, for example, 24 pictures in a second, and let's just say the video is a minute. We can just do 24 times 160. That is 3,840 times more effective than images in that metaphor, if you get what I'm saying. The point is, a picture says a lot, but a video says even more, because if you follow that logic. But anyways, the point is, you know, sometimes you use background videos for hero sections and the client doesn't have it. It's always great to just, you know, again, use a video. And in this specific Pexels, you can actually look at these videos and use it for your website in case the client doesn't want to go out and film their own video, or you want to use it as a placeholder. Amazing resources, Pexels specifically for the videos, but they also have images. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. This is the first video in the series of sharing the resources. So let me know if you have any comments or feedback. If you found it helpful, please visit my website, dereksu.com.au/value for more value. Peace be with you.